Hey, good morning, everybody. I wanted to come in for 1 second, real quick, and give you guys a warning about what's happening in China. I really feel like there is a major transition taking place in U.S. China relations that's going to affect those of you who are invested in the stock market. I'm going to break this down for you and kind of give you what I'm thinking based on the Wall Street Journal article that I read today. And we're going to sort of unpack all this. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black investing and economic building every single day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day, under one condition. The condition is that you don't have to be Black to be here. But we need you to understand we operate under the B1 philosophy. B1 means that we put our community first. We are here to solve wealth problems for our people first before we save everybody else. B1 means that we also believe that Black children, our children, B1 children, will lead the world in economic intelligence, investing, real estate ownership, etc., within the next 50 years. That's called Project 2070. B1 also means we understand we must be one to be successful. That means you want to build with your family and find good people in your community that you can work with and build with. Those are your superstars. Those are the ones who will help you escape white supremacy. All that racism and nonsense doesn't exist in our space because we are too powerful for that. If you agree with the B1 philosophy, put a hashtag B in the number one in the chat. Put B1 in the chat. Do I see you? Is that Maya Boswell? How you doing, Maya? Good to see you. Maya, I think Maya is one of my god kids. So I love you. I love you, Maya. I just want you to know that. All right, so here's the deal. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. All right, so basically something's happening in China that I think every investor should be aware of. You guys heard me yesterday. I was talking about a company called Didi. Didi is the Chinese Uber, and they just released an IPO. I was really enthusiastic about the IPO. Alicia and I bought a lot of shares in that company. I want to say maybe 1,000 or more, or something like that. Well, Didi stock is kind of struggling a little bit because immediately after Didi went public, the Chinese government started pushing forward with this investigation where they pretty much, first of all, they told them that you can't have any new subscribers to your app, which is pretty much killing the business's ability to grow. And now they were saying that they're going to require all the app stores to not even make your app available. And there's no end to this investigation in sight. It really concerns me as an investor because this is a pattern. This is part of a pattern from the Chinese government to kind of get in the way. And I use that old school term, cock blocking, where they're always blocking the ability of companies to make money by sort of intervening and kind of throwing salt in the situation. Well, I just saw some information online that pretty much tells me that this is only going to get worse. I'm going to grab two Wall Street Journal articles that I've been reading this morning. And I always remind you guys, the best way for you to become economically intelligent is to read what's going on so you know what's happening. That's consciousness. When we talk about economic consciousness, consciousness is awareness, awareness of your surroundings, awareness of what's going on. Unconscious people get exploited. Conscious people don't typically get exploited because they know what's going on. So I was reading this article today. Here's one. It says China widens their data security probe of U.S. listed tech companies. So China's not going after all their companies. They're going after companies that are listing in the United States. That is a type of economic warfare that the Chinese government likes to play. The Chinese government practices powernomics really well. You would think that 80% of them have read Dr. Claude Anderson's book. But the truth is, Dr. Claude Anderson's book, Powernomics, when he breaks down group economics, this makes common sense to the rest of the world. The rest of the world gets it. It's just Black folks have to be trained on this because everything you've been trained on is the opposite of coming together. You've been trained to hate each other. You've been trained to want to destroy each other. You've been trained to not want to work with each other. In China, it's the opposite. When I taught finance in China many years ago, I had my students in class and I didn't understand why they were so quiet. They didn't really talk much. And basically, one of my students said, when we grow up, we're taught that you remain quiet when the teacher is talking. You don't argue with the teacher. You see, some of our people don't get that. They'll go argue with the teacher all day. They'll come, somebody who's never taken a finance class will try to argue with me about wealth and investing. And I'll be like, well, I'm not saying you can't be right, but I am the teacher. So maybe you should listen because then I can add to whatever you think you know, and maybe you can come to the right conclusion. But we're taught to kind of argue with the teacher. The second thing that they do in China, this came from my students when I taught in Shanghai, is they said that you're also taught that the fattest pig always gets slaughtered, which means that you don't want to be this solo, like all by yourself, I'm gonna do it all by myself type person who's standing out seeking attention, trying to do everything alone. Instead you work with the group. Your strength is in the group. Security is in the group. Even animals know that security is in the group. That's why you see geese going, they roll in flocks. Buffalo, they roll in flocks. Nobody trained them to think this way. They just know it instinctually, right? Well, what do we see in the United States? You see a lot of people talking about, I cut off my cousin. I don't need nobody. I'm a strong black woman who don't need no man. Or man, F these women, man. You simping trying to build family and all that. Don't nobody want to hear all stuff about family. You both be out here pimping these, whatever, right? Like bad culture. So then what happens is that because you hate your own damn siblings, because you're fighting with your own cousins, because the men are fighting with the women and the women are fighting with the men, you don't see people coming together and forming groups. That works very well for white supremacy, because white supremacy never wanted black people to form groups. They never want you working together. They never want you thinking like the Chinese. The reason the Chinese are tough to compete with economically is because they always tend to operate in groups. This is a cultural norm that they are taught as children, that your feelings are not, how you feel about yourself as an individual is not more important than what the family needs. You should sacrifice yourself for the family. You should sacrifice your own wants and needs for the collective, right? So this is something that's really important. Now, why am I bringing all this up? I'm bringing this up so you can get a backdrop in terms of understanding Chinese culture. I believe that the Chinese government, because they are so threatened by what technology is doing in terms of imposing Western values into their culture, they are fighting to really shut that down. When I went to visit China with Alicia 2 years ago, we did Alicia and I did a 3-week tour of China. You guys might remember that. I did a lot of video on it. You could probably still go find it on YouTube. And literally the whole time I was filming stuff, I was talking to guys about Chinese entrepreneurs and how so many people run businesses in China, but they never went to business school. They ain't got no damn college degree. They didn't go take get an MBA and take a class on marketing. They just instinctually as family understand how to just start businesses because there aren't as many jobs out there. And anyway, during that time, I remember I would go online, and in China, you can't. Somebody tell me what happens if I go to China and I try to look up Facebook. If I go to Facebook.com, what's going to happen if I'm in China and I try to go to my Facebook? Or what happens if I try to go to Google.com? Somebody tell me what happens. What happens if I try to go open up my Google app or my YouTube app? What's going to happen? Somebody tell me what happens in China if I try to open my Uber app. If I try to go to get an Uber, you can get an Uber anywhere in the world. What happens if I go to China and try to get an Uber? It doesn't work. It's all blocked. In China, they're like, there ain't no Facebook. We have our own version of Facebook. In China, they're like, there is no YouTube. We don't need YouTube. We have our own YouTube. It's called something else. In China, oh no, we don't need an Uber. We don't need your Uber. You're not gonna come in our community and make all this money. Like again, black folks will let anybody and their mama set up a business in our community and just rape the community and steal all the money and take it to another neighborhood. China, no, they don't do that. They're like, no, come to China and take all our money, right? So basically, I think that they have an issue with tech companies because technology is a new form of media that would infiltrate their culture with a lot of Western values. I'm not saying it's good or bad. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. Some of it's good in that they put themselves first. We're B1, they're C1. But some of it's bad because they tend to have a really dampening effect on individual liberties and freedom. I do believe in freedom and liberty, but I also believe in group and collective economics and things like that. So anyway, so here's like I'll tell you, here's the example of what I'm talking about in terms of how your ideology differs from, or our ideology as a people differs from China. So there's a guy in the chat named Native Negro Lights, right? So he's a Negro naysayer. So he came in, and I want to address this comment directly because this is an example of what I'm talking about before I block him for life. He says China been exposing Boyce via Charles Wu. Boyce gets laughed at in China. Well, first of all, I haven't worked with Charles Wu for many years, but when I did, he actually helped us employ a lot of black people, and I stopped working with him because of the criticism of me working with a Chinese person. There are some black people who think that because you're black, you should not work with anybody of any other race. I want to make it clear that I've never been anti-integration. Integration is fine with me. The problem I had with integration in America was that you were integrated on bad terms. They integrated you as the help. They brought you in at the basement instead of the penthouse. They brought you in with no power. That's why integration is a problem. So when I worked with people like Charles Wu, who's actually not a bad guy, he was very nice and very helpful. People just have made it into a scandalous kind of thing. The truth is that with the partnership we had in terms of taking technology and ideas from other communities and incorporating them into the business model allowed us to do something that guys like Native Negro Lights will never be able to do, which is we were able to create dozens and dozens of jobs for Black people. So the reasons you have to be careful about letting Negro naysayers like this guy, and I'm going to block him. So everybody say goodbye, Negro Light. He's not even a heavyweight Negro. He's a lightweight Negro. So we don't want no lightweights in here. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and block you so that you can go be with the other lightweight Negroes. The reason I brought the attention to that comment is because at the end of the day, as Black people, you have to be real careful about how you talk about your women. You got to be real careful about how you talk about your Black-owned businesses. Your women are they produce your soldiers. They produce the next generation. The women are the ones that you need in order for you to be successful. You need that queen in your household at some point. And maybe not now, maybe not when you're 25 or even 30, 35. It's okay. I'm not telling you what to do. But at some point, you have to see the value that a good woman next to you can bring when it comes to empire building. There's very few empires in any point in history, going back 100,000 years. There's very few empires where there wasn't a king and a queen. Why did they have a king and a queen? They could have just had kings. They could have had a bunch of kings just screwing each other, right? Right? But they didn't. They had a king and a queen because you can't produce without the queen, and the queen brings a type of wisdom that balances out the king. Like Alicia soothes my savage beast. Y'all see me. Y'all know I get beast mode and I go hard and I say things and that make people mad. And Alicia's the one who says, "Okay, calm down. Here, come over here and get something to eat, or here, let me rub you on your head so you can calm down a little bit, right?" And that's really important for you to understand. So you need your women and you need your businesses. So anybody who's like really attacking Black-owned businesses, really, unfortunately, is making themselves into an enemy of the Black community because you need your businesses. Because what happens is they will destroy a Black-owned business, and then everybody will go spend their money with white people. So when you destroy Black-owned businesses, you're elevating white-owned businesses. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when I destroy, if I see a Black man selling potato chips and I say that Negro ain't nothing, look at him over there robbing Black people, selling potato chips, charging $2 a bag. What's wrong with you, Negro? Right? I do that. I destroy his business. Next thing you know, the Arab guy comes along and says, "Well, we have potato chips at our local store. You just come down to our store. We have plenty of potato chips for you, homeboy." Right? And next thing you know, everybody's buying from the Arab dude because y'all done destroyed the Black man's business. You need to get out of here with that immaturity. It's crazy. So going back to China, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. Also, if you want more free information from the Black Business School on how to invest, go to firstsharestock.com. Firstsharestock.com. If you haven't done it yet, send your children there because I can email you a ton of stuff on investing, free stuff, more stuff than you ever learned in college about investing, wealth building, all that. And again, we have programs. If you want to sign up for things, you can, and whatever. We need revenue to pay the people that work for us. But if you don't have any money, that's okay. You don't have to have money to be in the Black business. So I want to make that real clear. All right, so let me keep going. So the next thing I want to say about China in this article that I read in the Wall Street Journal is that basically the Chinese government is going after a lot of companies that are listing in America. They said here in the Wall Street Journal says this. Let me know. Give me a yes that you can hear me because I'm on another screen. It says this: a unit of China's cybersecurity regulator launched data security reviews of apps operated by two U.S. listed Chinese companies days after announcing a similar probe into ride hailing app giant Didi Global Inc. The latest action targets two truck hailing apps operated by Full Truck Alliance Company and an online recruiting app owned by Kanzun Limited. Both companies went public in June in the U.S. Like Diddy, they were ordered to stop adding users while the probes were conducted. So what they're doing is they're basically stopping these companies from growing. They're saying, okay, you want to go and raise money in America? Fine. We're gonna show you who's boss. We're gonna mess up your ability to grow, which is gonna murder your stock price, which is gonna make them not want you anymore. That's like if you I don't know, imagine if you had a kid who would be a little girl who became homecoming queen, and let's say that she has a jealous sister, a big sister who's mad because she never got a chance to be homecoming queen. So let's say that the sister that's doing well, she became homecoming queen. All the boys want to date her. So this girl says, "Well, I'm going to take your prom dress and I'm going to pee on it." So you're going to go to the prom smelling like pee, and nobody's going to be around you, and everybody's going to think you're stinky, and it's going to ruin your reputation. And I'm also going to spread a rumor that you're a slut, right? So you'll become toxic. Nobody want to be around you, etc. And that's what people do. When people are jealous or they want to disrupt what you're trying to do, or you've got better options elsewhere, they become disruptive. Or like that ex-boyfriend who goes and messes up any situation you might have when you're trying to move on from a bad relationship, or whatever, right? Or a girlfriend can do that too, right? So China is kind of like the jealous boyfriend. China is basically saying, if you go to the United States and make money, which is our enemy, we're going to make you look bad. We're going to create doubt around you. We're going to make them think that your company sucks. We're going to get in the way. We're going to use every ounce of our authority to just cause your stock price to plummet. And as a result, Diddy's stock price has dropped. Now, I'm going to hold on to my Diddy stock because I'm hoping the Chinese government will stop with this. But I'm going to tell you this, seeing what the Chinese government's doing is making me not want to invest in any companies that operate in China. There's another company I was talking to you guys about not too long ago called Tekadu. Tekadu was a great company because the options premium were really high, and I was selling covered call options and actually making a lot of money from it. Well, then the Chinese government launches an investigation. Diddy's stock price drops by 40%, and it just drove me crazy because there was really nothing to see there. But it was one of those things where you live in a world, and you saw this happen with Bill Cosby and all that. You live in a world where um, an accusation is treated as a conviction. That being accused of something makes you toxic enough that the person doing the accusing is basically saying, in many cases, that after you finish cleaning up the mess that I just made by accusing you of something, it won't even matter what the truth actually is. Right? That's how people play. That's how politics works. That's what they did. Did to Cosby. They said, I believe that the prosecutors who sent Cosby to jail basically said, we know that what we're doing is illegal. We know that there's no legal basis for doing this, but we have the power, so we're going to go ahead and send you to prison. And when you're 82 years old or whatever, you're going to spend 3 or 4 valuable years in jail, and then they're going to find out we did things wrong. But by that time, it won't matter because you'll be much older, and the damage will be done, right? And this is what happened with XRP. The SEC launched the investigation on XRP. I think they know that the investigation is pretty groundless, that eventually it's going to be thrown out of court. But in the meantime, XRP became toxic. XRP, the value plummeted. XRP, that company, lost billions of dollars because of the investigation. XRP became delisted from almost every exchange all throughout the world. Right. So it's not liquid anymore. They killed the liquidity, which takes another few $billion off the value of the asset. And so by the time everything's cleared up, a lot of money will have been lost. So the Chinese government's doing the same thing. That's what my point. My point is that they're basically creating a lot of a cloud of doubt around Chinese companies that will make U.S. investors become squeamish when it comes to investing. And to some extent, it works. I told you guys just now, I'm going to be really hesitant to invest in any of these Chinese IPOs because I don't know what the hell your government's going to do. It's like I know I'm not going to date. It's like saying I'm not going to date the girl who's got the crazy daddy because he's got the shotgun and he's out of his mind. It ain't no telling what's going to happen in that house, right? And so the Chinese government is the crazy daddy. They're the crazy ex-boyfriend or whatever, where you don't know what's going on in that house. So you don't want to put your money in there. You don't want to take a chance on that, right? And that's unfair to the companies, I think, but that's just the way life works. A lot of us have seen examples like that where, for example, I told you guys, just for full disclosure, I told you that I don't know if I would have married my wife if she had a crazy family that was going to be disruptive and cause problems and chaos and everything else. Because when you marry the woman, you're marrying the family. So when you invest in the Chinese company, you're also investing in the Chinese government. And there's something called political risk that can become very destabilizing for a company that's in a country where the government won't allow free markets to operate, where they constantly feel like they have to impose themselves into every single transaction, into every single piece of commerce happening. This is a really bad thing. So right now, Facebook and Google, and actually one more article I want to show you guys. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. And I just want to remind you guys that I'm starting a book club. We're going to cover books like Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, all kinds of stuff, all the books you don't read in school. And we're going to do that every week, every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. You can do that. You can join. You can get access by joining my life class for free. I took the price off. If you go there and you see a price, email support@theblackbusinessschool.com, because there should not be a price that you have to pay at all to join. So go to blackkeystogreatness.com. You can register there. That gives you lifetime access to my life class and also access to the book club. And we meet Wednesday night at 8:30. So one more thing I want to read to you that I found. Hit the thumbs up button, please, while I find this article. Please hit the thumbs up button, and subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Just don't be acting crazy. If you come here talking crazy, I'm gonna have to block you. And I hate having to block people, but I gotta block the idiots. All right, so here's another one, a Wall Street Journal exclusive. It says Facebook, Twitter, Google threatened to quit Hong Kong over proposed data laws. So there's basically this thing called an anti-doxing rule that the Chinese government has put into place. Now, mind you, when a government wants to obtain authoritarian control over you, they will never, ever tell you that they're trying to take control. What they do is they always tell you that we're doing this for your protection. Like during the whole pandemic, when they were putting all these restrictions on you and telling you what you could and couldn't do, they claimed they were doing it for your protection. And a lot of it was because they were trying to achieve a political objective. Like, so for example, I'm in Chicago. I was out yesterday. It was bright and sunny. There were thousands of people down at the on the harbor. All the stuff that we saw during the election year was gone. But if you went to that same place, say a year ago, you wouldn't have seen hardly anybody out. Everything was locked down. It was all about the pandemic. All the streets, the businesses were being burned down and shut down and windows busted because all these orchestrated protests were happening out in the streets. And they did all this to achieve a specific goal. Their goal at that time was, we want to get Trump out of office. So we're going to create all kinds of chaos. We're going to make people afraid, afraid of the pandemic. So we're going to create a problem, make ourselves the solution. We're going to put roaches in your house and then claim to be the exterminator. So basically what they did was they created the pandemic, which created lots of fear. And then they created all these protests, which created this artificial desire for you to have white people tell you that Black Lives Matter. So effectively, now pay attention now. So that worked, right? You voted based on those issues. Those are the issues you voted on. You voted on because you were afraid of the pandemic. So Biden was going to save you with, government shots and all that. And then you're also demanding that they, tell you that Black Lives Matter. So you get a Juneteenth holiday and whatever, right? Well, a year later, all that's gone. Like, pay attention now. This is me explaining the Chinese government. Y'all know me. I give analogies that are thorough, so you can hopefully see the big picture in real life examples. But this is explaining the Chinese government. The Chinese government kind of does the same thing. So the Chinese government, what they did was, again, for your protection, their biggest problem before the pandemic. This is why I do believe that virus came from a lab, and I wouldn't be surprised if they created that virus. I wouldn't be surprised, and let me tell you why. A year and a half ago, before the pandemic, China could not control Hong Kong because Hong Kong was addicted to freedom. The people in Hong Kong were addicted to democracy and freedom of speech and all this other stuff that they don't believe in China. Well, suddenly the pandemic comes. And then all of a sudden, the Chinese government has justification. They said, they remember what Rahm Emanuel, who worked for Obama, used to say. He said, never waste a good crisis. Never waste a good crisis. So what the Chinese government did was they went in and they went to Hong Kong and they said, for your safety, we're passing a new list of security measures for your protection. And one of the security measures was that if you congregate in groups of more than 3, we can arrest you, right? And why did they do that? Well, because a few months earlier, they had 1 million people in the streets. They couldn't you can't control 1 million people. So the Chinese government is very, very good at finding ways that a small group of people can control a large group of people. So they see, digital technology as a huge threat to their ideology. Right? They do. So they shut down Hong Kong, and now Facebook, Google, and Twitter are all telling Hong Kong, we're going to leave because of these new, quote, anti-doxing laws that the Chinese government has passed, which is yet another list of laws they passed that they claim are for your protection, but really they're designed to protect the Chinese government. So doxing is when people will grab somebody's documents, like their home address and stuff like that. Just, like terrible stuff people do to each other. Like when you see people getting real immature on the internet, they'll grab, I'll get your mama's address or whatever, and I'll put it on the internet. Right. Well, that's a problem, right? That puts people in harm's way, and it's not appropriate to do. So they're claiming they're protecting you from that. But really what they're doing, though, is that they're creating these laws in a way where it's significantly restricting the amount of freedom that people have in Hong Kong, and basically telling these tech companies that if you do any of this, your employees will be put in jail, right? That if you put anybody's information anywhere on the internet, like even if they want it on there, you can go to jail, right? So Facebook, Twitter, and Google are in a standoff with China, and they're telling Hong Kong, we're going to leave if you don't deal with this law. Well, here's the problem: Hong Kong is not going to deal with the law because they've already gotten rid of any government official that is pro-democracy. So China is going to say, get out, good riddance, we got this. We own Hong Kong now. We're going to decide what's going to be said and what's not going to be said and how things are going to happen. So my prediction is that Google, Facebook, and YouTube are going to all leave Hong Kong at some point in the near future. So this to me is a pattern. It is a trend. And the reason I'm telling you these different stories is because this is the direction the world is going. The world is going in a direction that says we will be at war with China if we're not already at war right now. Now, that does not mean that we're going to go in a physical war where there are going to be bombs and all that stuff, but it's definitely going to be an economic war, and it's going to be a technological war. And the thing about the Chinese government is that they are gangster enough that they're going to win both of those wars. The United States can win wars when it comes to missiles and tanks and gunfire and jet airplanes and all that. We're good at that. What we're not prepared for is an economic war and a technological war. A lot of that is because as a country, we have not invested in our children. Our children can't compete with Chinese children. I went to school with somebody. I went to school with a young lady who had one of the 10 highest math scores in all of China, and I just remember dealing with students from around the world in my PhD program from China and Russia and stuff like that, who did things that we don't do in the United States. This is why I'm such an extremist in terms of intellect and studying and work, is because I had to compete with this, and you don't see that a lot in our culture. Think about it like this: the the way we work at basketball and football, like the way we'll be on the basketball court 10, 12, 14 hours a day to become a great basketball player, that's how hard the Chinese kids work when it comes to technology. Or the way we'll have kids on the football field like all day long past dinner time or whatever every single day. Well, they do that when it comes to like mathematics and science and all this other stuff. So American kids are not ready to compete. We don't invest in our kids. Our schools suck. We got kids graduating from high school with 3.5 GPAs who can't even read. So we're not going to be ready for that war. I believe that again, when my brother gave birth, or his wife gave birth, actually, he didn't give birth. But when my brother's wife gave birth to my niece, I told him, I said, have your kids learn Chinese and Spanish, because those are going to be the two languages of the future. America is on its way down. America is not going to rise again. America is going to fall under the weight of its own arrogance and its own short-sighted behavior. Americans, as a country, we make 2-year plans, 3-year plans. The Chinese make 200-year plans. And I've told you guys, in terms of being black, my question to you as a black person, as a matriarch of your family or a patriarch of your family, is what is your 100-year plan? Do you have a 100-year plan for your family? Or do you have a 200-year plan for your family? Or are you only listening to this channel so you can figure out how to make a couple of dollars in the next 2 weeks? I mean, I can help you do that. Sure, I can show you where the money's at. But my God, I need you to start making long-term plans, because the future belongs to people who plan for it today. And the Chinese understand that. So the Chinese, they think big, they think group-wise, and they think long-term. We think individually, and we think very short-term. We live for today. We don't care about the future. That, at least that's in the culture. That's in literally in the music. I heard Yo Gotti in a song. He said it's called "That's Law." He did it with E40, and in the song he said, We gonna ball today, F tomorrow." Like, we're gonna ball today, but I don't care about tomorrow. Right. So that literally is in your culture. That literally is the language that your kids are getting. That's why you have a lot of kids who can't concentrate more than a week, or can't set a goal that's more than 3 months in the future, or can't think beyond, getting enough money to go buy the next iPhone. Or they're having sex with somebody just because they're cute. They're not thinking about long-term stuff like, is this woman going to raise my children right? Is this man going to be there for me? They're just living for today. Right. And the drugs only make it worse. The fact that they've gotten you into the drug culture, a lot of our young people, is only making it worse, because a lot of these kids are so doped out that by the time they're 25, 30 years old, they can't hardly think anymore. Their brains don't even work right. So and that's in addition to the drugs they give your kids when they're in elementary school to keep them calm and quiet. Right. So they're killing you. They're killing your future. So that's just what it is. The Chinese are above that. The Chinese, they killed the dope dealers. They took out when they had an opium problem, they killed the opium dealers. They were killing the addicts. They were like, no, we will not allow you to use drugs to disrupt the brains of our people. They are very group oriented. They shun individualism. This whole look at me culture, like, "Ooh, look at me. I'm doing selfies with my booty out on Instagram because I want to get likes and follows." They laugh at that. They look at that and they say, "You're a sucker. You're a damn fool. Your family is what matters. You're embarrassed. You're an embarrassment to your family. You're an embarrassment to your community." So a lot of what we think here is as celebrity, or we take pride in these things, or we're proud of these things. Those are things that people in China kind of laugh at. They look at it and they say, "God, that is really pathetic. No wonder Americans are losing." Right. So anyway, Shalinda says, "Is there a coupon code? Because there's a price. There should not be a price, Shalinda. If you go there, just go to blackkeystogreatness.com. I'm looking now. Dozens of you have signed up in the last hour. So look down there, far enough down there. There should be something that says 8.99, but it should be wiped out. It should literally be wiped out and say free below that. And that's the one you want to click on. And that's how you sign up. If you have any trouble, just go to support at the blackbusinessschool.com. That's support at the blackbusinessschool.com. That's our support team. We have a whole team of Black people that we pay that basically give support to anybody in the Black Business School that has any problems or any issues whatsoever. And I'll type the email in here. And this is the stuff that happens behind the scenes. Because one of the things that I've always known is that you can't do it by yourself. So I don't do these things that I do with you guys by myself, or it's not it's not all, Boyce Watkins is the superhero. It comes down to me having a great team of awesome Black people that, many of whom that I employ, that I, pay money to, that are helping us to achieve the goal. That's why you see, even on my platform, you see me share my YouTube channels a lot with intelligent Black people who have something good to say, because I'm not the only intelligent Black person out here, right? And these are things that you really don't see so much in the community. I mean, I want you to really, there's the email address, by the way, it's right there on the screen. But I want you to really look around at the most prominent YouTube channels out here, and I want you to ask yourself, how often do these channels have people come on there and just say whatever they want to say? That, where the person who owns the channel isn't on there with them. How many people just hand the keys to their channel over to other people that have something to say? You've seen me do it probably 500 times. So in fact, sometimes I've done it with people that, that eventually became my critics, and I don't mind that. I want to hear from everybody. I want all of us working together. You have to think in terms of team building. That's why relationships are so important. That's why you hear me talk so much about relationships. If you can't maintain relationships, you can't build nothing. If you can't maintain relationships, you can't build anything, because most of the economic power that exists in this world is a group activity. Most of the power is harnessed by corporations, which is a group activity. It's harnessed by organizations. That's a group activity. It's harnessed by systems and processes and organizations that where with dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of people all working toward a common goal. Instead, we have a bunch of cowboys out here that want to be one man, one woman shows, that want to believe I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I'm the most highly sought after, I'm the most extraordinary, I'm the whatever. And it's really kind of sad. That's why you see nothing being built around these people. That's why they can't build structured organizations. That's why they don't have any multi-million, multi-billion dollar entities that they control, because they don't understand that it takes groups to do that. So in order for things to work, you got to find your group, and you got to empower your group. Hook those people up, take care of them, support those people so they can support you, so that all of you can work together and achieve something extraordinary. Teach that to your kids. That's the key to building wealth. If your kid knows how to maintain relationships with people and forms the right relationships with the right people, your child will never go broke, because your child will always be involved in good situations with good people that are doing good things. And that's what you want to aim for. So anyway, I'm going to go, guys. We do have, if you're interested, we have a Black Business School for Children at blackmillionairesfortomorrow.com. So feel free to enroll your kids. We've helped thousands and thousands of kids, literally, where they have a financial literacy level that exceeds the average college educated adult. And in fact, actually, that's our guarantee. If your child goes through the curriculum and the self-study exams and gets their diploma from us, and they don't have a financial literacy level that exceeds the average college educated adult, then email us and we'll give you your money back. That's how good I am at what I do. And I'm hoping I can help you achieve your goal. So be smart, be strong, be capable. I love you, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Have a good day. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. I'll see you soon. Peace.